Welcome to the Elevate the Vibe podcast, bringing you juicy convos with thought leaders discussing the wild world of parenting. What up, Vibe Hive? This week, we are talking about our favorite furry, four-legged family members.
That's right, Vibe Hive. We're talking about puppies, or maybe cats in somebody's case. Not ours. We have a dog. His name is Randy, and we will talk about him in a minute. But for now, I wanted to tell you that my name is Jason Berlin. I'm the host of the Elevate the Vibe podcast, and with me is my beautiful co-host, Katie Berlin.
What up, Vibe Hive?
Wait a minute. Didn't you already say that?
This episode is important to us because we know that pets are like family members or are family members. It's not even that they're like family members. They can be as important to your life as anyone else that you know. And when you're deciding to expand your family, maybe with a pet, if it's a four-legged pet or not, a furry one or not, maybe a fish, maybe a reptile, doesn't really matter. It's important to think about how this little creature will integrate into your lives.
And for two people, adopting an animal is one thing, but then when you decide that you might have a humanoid joining the party at some point, you really need to consider what the relationship is going to be like with your new furry friend and your new human friend and how that's going to play out.
Several years ago, Jason and I lost a beloved four-legged family member. His name was Steve. Shout out to Steve. He was a big part of our lives. He was 16 years old when he passed away, and we weren't quite ready to add another pet to the family. But at the point that I did become pregnant and I was expecting with our son, Sammy, who's now 2.5, we decided that it would probably be better to integrate a dog into our lives prior to Sammy being born, because we wanted the dog to be able to acclimate and figure out, okay, even if there is some sort of behavior issue that we need to work on, we'll have time to work on this prior to another little person coming into our lives, because it's a big change.
So yeah, I think you were about 3 months pregnant or so when we went to meet Randy. And Randy is a little mixed Chihuahua Basenji that we discovered on one of Katie's friends' Instagram accounts, who was volunteering at a shelter called Wags and Walks in West LA off of Federal Ave. You know, we saw this Instagram post and just immediately fell in love with this little dude. And so we went up to West LA, and the rest is history.
We really had no idea how Randy would react to Sammy being born and coming home. And I distinctly remember, you may have tuned into the birth story episode, which was episode 37, just a few episodes back. If you didn't hear that story, then, you know, if that's not for you, go ahead and skip it. But anyway, when we came home, Jason ran in and put Randy outside so that both Sammy and I could come inside, because we just didn't know how Randy would react. And I remember walking in through our garage. We have a home office that faces sort of our front door. And I walked into the garage and I could barely walk. Like, I needed to crawl. And I could see on Randy's face, like, the level of concern and worry. Like, his little pup emotions were so heightened. Like, he definitely knew what was up. And for those first few days, we just weren't sure how he was going to react, because he's a little crazy. He's like a little psychotic. We love him, but he's a little nuts. He really is a squirrel hunter. There are certain dogs that set him off. We just didn't know how he would be with a baby. Sure enough, he was super loving, would sleep underneath Sammy's bassinet at night, just wanting to be close and be protective. And he was really awesome. He had this process where he would lick Sammy's toes all the time.
I don't know where he learned that. That doesn't happen in this house. That's some weirdness.
We would look it up, like, what is that? And apparently it's a way that dogs can initiate a person, like, into the pack, is that they'll do that. So we were like, okay, it's a positive sign, but we were a little bit like, stop, like, please, like, that's gross. Like, it's like cute for a second, and then you're like, all right, this is weird. Stop. So,
And if we could rewind just a little bit, Shug, one thing Katie and I did do the second we got home from the birthing center was I took Sammy's swaddle blanket, the one that we took with us to the birthing center and the one that we put on him, and I handed that blanket to Randy and I let Randy sniff it. So Randy had the baby's scent before taking Randy upstairs, so Randy was comfortable, and to help Randy feel at ease that, this wasn't a threat that we're bringing into the house. This is our little family member.
and having another family member who's a furry family member in our lives was just really important to us as a whole. I mean, I think that there's a lot of studies that say that, children that have dogs at home, their immune systems are stronger and they show more compassion and blah, blah, blah. Like, there's a lot of information. I'm sure we could bring someone on to talk about this and the benefits of it.
Maybe we will. Stay tuned.
Yeah, it could be a 2021 episode.
Yeah.
But it was just important for us because we both grew up having pets. We understand that relationship and we wanted that in our home as well. I mean, not just for our child, but for us. Like, we love having a pet as well. And it'll be interesting to see how the new baby integrates with Randy and Sammy. I think I'm more worried about our son with the new baby than our pup with the new baby. Our pup, Randy, he's a little crazy, but he's very protective in a positive way. Definitely lets us know if any Amazon packages are thrown over our gate, and if anybody walks by within like a 15-foot radius of our gate, he definitely lets us know that someone's out there. So he's definitely a valued member of our family. And with the holiday season coming up, I know that there are people that think about potentially getting a pet, adding one to their family. We love the idea of adopting. This is not like an ad for adoption. Depending on where you live, there's so many options that you can choose from. What we liked about the particular adoption center that we chose also, not only was it that, as Jason mentioned, a friend of mine was volunteering there, and that's how we ended up seeing Randy. But there are adoption centers that are no-kill shelters, which is important for us as well. And I know maybe not everyone has that option where they live, but if you can find a no-kill shelter, that's important. Because when we did adopt Randy, he had a physical issue that we had to handle and deal with. And he was unadopted, and he was not being adopted for many months. And we think it was because he had an issue with one of his legs that required some extra attention. And we were like, we're not scared of that. There wasn't anything we needed to do, but just a limitation that probably other people saw and just turned away from, but just consider if you're thinking of bringing a pup or a kitty or butterfly or
butterfly
a bird into your home this holiday season, that maybe you look into adopting a little furry loved one.
A furry friend is one of the greatest gifts you can give your family.
All right, Vibe Hive, on our latest Instagram at Elevate the Vibe, drop us a comment. Let us know the importance of your furry family member in your life. If you ever had to be the integrator of a pet with your children or children with your pet, how that worked out for you, any tips and tricks you may have. And as always, thank you for helping us to elevate the vibe.
Peace.